The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABCAmbaNews on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution and Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABCAmbaTV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed, with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news, untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABCAmbaTV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team. The Amber War Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we drop. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort, while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?
Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through the fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical intelligence and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Ambazonia die as a wish, because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop.
We the people, ABCAmba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Any military option to subdue Ambazonia to surrender fails on arrival. La République du Cameroon and France continue to think a military solution will force Ambazonia to surrender after 5 years of war to regain their stolen statehood. Meanwhile, coup plotters are living a dreamland, assuming the schemes will override the law in the United States of America. Well, we will see about that because the heat is on. There is good news, people. Your interim government thrives from strength to strength. And on Saturday, we drafted Coupe Moine in Guba County, KMC. The outcome was remarkable as Mr. President, in his awesome wisdom, electrified the moment as always. His speech was an inspiration to many. A county like KMC, that was one target of Cooper's, now emerges after reconstructions with a draft of $35,153 US for one night. I must say this is amazing. In tonight's Undaunted, we will get into the details why Ambazonia is excited with the outcome. The octogenarian French governor of La République du Cameroon has purportedly authorized a detachment of special forces to be deployed to Ambazonia. Well, who cares? We are told that these are forces which have been trained by France for the past 2 years. They are all stationed in Yaoundé. It will interest you to know that Coopers filed a writ for the ongoing litigation in Baltimore, but the request was rejected. Period. I guess what they surely ignored was the fact that they did not only commit a crime against the people of Ambazonia by stealing money meant to enhance home front and humanitarian activities. They also committed a crime in the United States which qualifies as a felony. The US doesn't take financial and wire fraud lightly. Well, we will scoop through some details as regards this matters in tonight's Undaunted. There are a lot of interesting updates we'll be bringing to you tonight, not forgetting the newborn baby found in the bush in Mbengwi and relative reactions on the social media. Well, let's not waste any more time and get right into the news of tonight, but just after the prime headline.
These are the prime headlines for today, September 5th, 2022. La Republic du Cameroon colonial ministers of commercial pose beggarly before cement manufacturers. Kumba landslide renders many stranded. Today we are going to be analyzing the president's speech from the Coupe Monanguba draft of Saturday, 3rd September. UN General Assembly kickstarts on Friday. What are the expectations of Ambazonians? Colonial La Republic du Cameroon military kills innocent boy for hairstyle in Bafut. Also today we have the story an abandoned child found in Mbengwi Grand Style. La Republic du Cameroon detachment of special forces to fight Boko Haram. Coupe Monanguba drafted a whooping sum of over $35,000 and in sports. Moyos furious at VAR as Hamas beaten by Chelsea. On tonight's Undaunted, we'll start by refreshing our minds on La Republic du Cameroon military killing innocent boy for hairstyle in Bafut. Now the colonial La Republic du Cameroon military are bent on killing the workforce of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. The ongoing war declared on the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia has exposed the job description handed to the colonial military deployed into southern Cameroons. The colonial military in a systematic killing of the youthful population in southern Cameroon with the pretext that they are members of the self-defense volunteer groups. A young man was shot dead on Thursday, September 4th, 2022 by La Republic du Cameroon soldiers in Bafut with justification that the hairstyle is different. The questions Undaunted is asking are, is there a restriction on a particular hairstyle on the people of southern Cameroon's Amazonia? Why is it that the colonial military officers involved in the indiscriminate killing of innocent men and women of Amazonia are never tired? Well, this is just a reminder of the story from Saturday, like I mentioned earlier on, and this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Onyi Okpala, and Star Smart is here with me as always. Good evening, Star.
Good evening, Onyi. Good evening, Ambazonians. A young southern Cameroonian has been shot point blank by a colonial La Republic du Cameroon soldier for keeping a short dread hairstyle. And this incident took place in Bafut local government area on Thursday, September 1st, 2022. Undaunted gathered that the recent victim of human rights violation is a commercial motorcycle rider and has never been part of the self-defense volunteers group. Bafut is a midland state of southern Cameroon where the self-defense volunteers group styled 7 Qatar are mounting a strong resistance against the invading La Republic du Cameroon's military. Now, last Sunday, August 28, 2022, the self-defense volunteers of Bafut inflicted heavy damages on an invading convoy of the La Republic du Cameroon's military entering into Bafut. The result of the attack gathered by Undaunted was a complete destruction of an armored car with the occupants in it killed. Now, whenever the colonial military of La Republic du Cameroon suffers from the hands of any self-defense volunteers group, they turn on the innocent civilian population to pour out their frustration, a clear demonstration of absolute unprofessionalism. It is with this attitude that the colonial military officer gunned down a young commercial motorbike rider in broad daylight for no just reason. The only reason suspected to have been to have probably been the reason of this guy's demise is because of the short dread hairstyle he carried.
Now, excuse me, it is worth remembering that in 2020, the La Republic du Cameroon military murdered children in what was styled the Ngabo massacre. Just to mention but this, the Ngabo massacre took place in February 14, 2020, that resulted in the murder of 21 civilians, including 13 children, by La Republic du Cameroon soldiers and armed Fulani militia, a murder that was initially accused to have been carried out by self-defense volunteers, but was later uncovered to have been carried out by La Republic du Cameroon military after thorough investigations. Now, the recent killing of a young commercial motorbike rider in Bafut, just like the Ngabo massacre, is just a normal phenomenon with the colonial military of La Republic du Cameroon to wipe out the workforce in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Since no La Republic du Cameroon military officer have been sentenced, tried, or sent to jail so far, it is clear, and just a clear justification, that these officers are working on their instructions.
Speaking of the indiscriminate killing, another one happened in Wom, which we reported, and La Republic du Cameroon have been on targeted killings of Ambazonia. It is now the usual style of La Republic du Cameroon to vent their anger of defeat. Any casualties caused by the ARFs on innocent civilians, regardless of age, gender, or any measures at all. Now, the sad updates from Bui County, Kuvlu, precisely Unkum local government area, and Lu village yesterday, Friday, 2nd September 2022. At least 3 civilians, including a baby in a quarter-cold car, and 3 BS military terrorists in Lu have been killed following the invasion of Kuvlu and Takov in the mornings of the said day through Tatum. Now, a certain Stanley is said to be leading the military. The BS military terrorists, overpowered by the ARFs, vented their angers on the helpless civilians, a man, a mother, and her less than 1-year-old child, all from one family. One begins to question if these BS military are not truly terrorists. Why shoot and kill women and children, even if all men to them seems to be amber fighters?
Well, the story continues that in retaliation, the warriors intercepted them at Lu as they continued their invasion, neutralizing 3 of those military terrorists. Now, let's see this video.
This one are the civilian way the La Republic military they don't come kill them. Now the Pekin never yet reached 1 year, and now the Mamedis. So now I work for Biadis. When they come, boys them pass their power, they go kill a civilian and them this make house here. This one now the civilian where the military where they don't invade Kufu, where they don't kill them. So I could still go for place where a woman and a Pekin day. Pekin where never yet reached 1 year. Now they work for military this like around 3 o'clock for morning. They work where they don't intervene.
The indiscriminate killings on Ambazonian civilians has no justification. You can only see it as a scheme towards achieving La Republic du Cameroon's annihilation agenda, trying to silently wipe a people out of existence. Because what's the moral justification of killing 3 people, including a baby less than a year old, amongst these 3? And this is the same place and under the same circumstances that parents have been agitating to have the government allow their kids to resume school.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV, the voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Moving into Africa, we have Serena Williams proving Retiring from tennis can be complicated. When Serena Williams was given a chance to clarify her retirement timetable after she extended her career at least one more match with a first-round U.S. Open victory on Monday, she gamely deflected the question. Later again, Serena Williams was asked if she would rethink retirement. Her reply: Serena Williams said Friday that she will not reconsider her decision to retire from tennis, but added, "You never know." Williams suffered what was almost certainly a career-ending defeat when she was knocked out of the U.S. Open by Australia's Adela Tomljanovic. The 23-time Grand Slam title winner and 6-time champion in New York lost her third-round clash 7-5, 6-7, 4-7, 6-1. She says, "I'm just so grateful to every single person that's ever said, 'Go Serena' in their life. I'm just so grateful. You got me here." Williams reserved special praise for her parents, Richard Williams and Orson Price, who had set her and her elder sister Venus on the track to stardom.
All right, so let's look at Serena Williams' philanthropy nature. Now, giving back is one of the most important and meaningful principles of life, something that former tennis star Serena Williams knows all too well. As the world's second highest earning female athlete, Serena Williams has become a force to be reckoned with both on and off the court. With 23 Grand Slam titles in singles, 14 in women's doubles, and 2 in mixed doubles, Serena quite easily clears the court of competitors. But as Serena recently announced her retirement from tennis, she will now have more time to focus her efforts on philanthropic ventures. To honor her lifelong passion for helping children, Serena teamed up with UNICEF, embarking on a trip to Ghana to support the country's biggest health campaign. 5 years later, she was appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador. As a champion of the UNICEF Schools for Africa initiative, Serena made it her mission to provide education to vulnerable and marginalized children. After her life-threatening experience giving birth to her daughter Olympia, Serena has focused more on aiding mothers and newborn babies, supporting the Every Child Alive campaign. Serena Williams has used her profile as a leading global support person and personality to highlight awareness and drive help for children and families in greatest need around the world, says Caroline Underwood, CEO of Philanthropy Company. But in true philanthropy style, Serena was sure not to stop there. The Serena Williams Foundation created the Yetunde Prize Resort Center to honor the life and memory of its namesake, Serena's elder sister. Through collaboration with local organizations, the center offers trauma-informed healing programs, as well as a space dedicated to nurturing, sharing, and supporting its local community while promoting healing and resiliency. Like many other philanthropies, Serena saw it as her duty to lend a helping hand during the COVID-19 pandemic by teaming up with Bel Air and Canvas on the Max for Kids campaign. Serena provided 4 million marks daily to undeserved schools across the U.S.
Now, another African-American philanthropist is Akon. Akon Alion Damola Badara Akon Thiem, born April 16, 1973, known mononymously as Akon, is a Senegalese-American singer, record producer, and entrepreneur. He rose to prominence in 2004 following the release of Locked Up, featuring Styles P, the first single from his debut album Trouble 2004, followed by the second single Lonely. Akon also started a project, Akon Lighting Africa, in 2014, which provides electricity in 15 countries of Africa. And he also launched his own charity for underprivileged children in Africa called Confidence Foundation. Akon was included as a guest appearance in Pitbull's I Believe That We Will Win World Anthem official music video, in which all proceeds from the song sale, streaming, and views are being donated to Feeding America and the Anthony Robbins Foundation as relief to those affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
With the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
The Black American Dilemma. Rescue Ambazonia from ruthless killers. When Europeans first colonized North American continent, the land was vast, the work was harsh, and there was a severe shortage of labor. In 1619, the first ship of black men and women arrived in America. So beginning early in the 17th century, my ancestors were being stolen, kidnapped from Africa, ripped from their families, and enslaved by ruthless slave traders and so-called slave masters. The messages to our country's president, vice president, governors, and senators are not about the horrors of slavery in America. It is about the blatant disrespect that is yet swept under the dirty rugs of democracy as people of color yet struggle under the disguised, deceptive practice of systemic racism. We are sending you this electronic packet to offer you an opportunity to do something decent for people of color throughout America and throughout our motherland, Africa. I am speaking to you about people who are being sadistically murdered under the guise of war. Women and children are being slaughtered in sadistic ways, many times forcing the father to watch as his family is being horrifically murdered, and then he is murdered, or even worse, he is forced to survive this horror. This kind of brutality is going on right here in our world, a few clicks away, while our United Nations is pretending they don't see, when it's clear that they do indeed see. Though I come from a line of enslaved people, I am not enslaved. I am a free woman who is a natural citizen of the most powerful country in this world, and that makes my voice powerful. I realized as an entrepreneur that the power of my lone voice can be amplified by bringing together a billion voices of free or not so free people throughout the world, hence the movement. We have just spent a few days testing the waters with our End the Mass Killings petition. We have an exponential plan that will bring hundreds of millions of signatures as caring people join us in raising our voices to scream as one voice, end mass killings. We are 10 female entrepreneurs who are spearheading this movement to gather the masses and to create partnerships with a large number of corporate and celebrity partners who will help build this virtual ark to bring solutions to murder, genocide, and other brutality. We are starting our fight in the neglected Ambazonia. We are in urgent need of your voices as governors and senators to help us encourage you Mr. President, to meet with the interim president of Ambazonia and his cabinet to find the truth behind all of this deception of war that is actually blatant, arrogant murderers finding some kind of sick satisfaction in brutalizing human beings. Help us get President Dr. Sacco of Ambazonia to the White House and to the sessions of the UN Assembly that are scheduled to begin on September 9th, 2022. Just as my great great grandparents had the human right to dignity and the pursuit of happiness that was ripped from us, the same injustices is happening just across the land in the southern Cameroons, specifically in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We need you to get us heard so that you will be a blessing to traumatized people who are being, as I speak, catastrophically murdered. When you show concern for these innocent people of color, you show us as Black Americans that you want to do something to make up for our long suffering. And we will find comfort in that. Thank you. Now to introduce you to our illustrious Core 10 entrepreneurs who are on a mission to save lives throughout the world. Please click the next link.
All right, fellow Ambazonians, this is introducing to you Asia Stam, and she's with us here in the studio. We still want to hear more from her. Of course, you can see how she's passionately speaking about the cause for this struggle. She has a lot to offer. Let's have Asia Stam. A very warm greetings to you, Asia Stam. Welcome to Undaunted Studio. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's so good to be here with you. Yes.
All right.
So,
I'm sure you have more things to say. Watching that video got some of us in the studio really, really teary. But we want to still give you more time to expand on what you have for us this evening. So please go ahead.
thank you. Yes, the voices of the people around the world is the most powerful weapon we have. No guns, no bank accounts, nothing as powerful as the unitedness of the people. We are bringing together the people, a billion strong. That's what our goal is. We are bringing the people together so that we can come together and make one roar that says stop this insane mass killings that runs throughout the world. It is time for us to realize that it's not what we are programmed to believe, that we have to put up with this, that we have to live this horrific possibility of our families being ripped from our lives by murder. We can make a difference. We have a petition called Stop the Mass Killings. That petition is going to float around the world and it's going to gain momentum as people join our force to bring that voice, to bring it before the people, to remind us that we can stop this from happening. We have babies being murdered. We have mothers being murdered. We have families being burned alive. We have people being just, just brutalized. And we, so much of the time, have just talked about it and listened to it on certain news programming that brought only the horrific part, none of the solutions. Thank you for being a force that brings the solutions. We have the solution, and that is your voice. Everyone's voice united brings a roar. And a roar, everybody stops to see what has to be done. And when we show them what has to be done, we will see solutions. We will see murder reduced. We will see violent crimes reduced, not only in America, but especially in Ambazonia, who is victimized at this very moment. I want us to do more than just cry over our victims. I want us to do more than just accept the horrors that have gone before us. I want us to realize that together we can truly make it end. Truly. That by asking each other to sign and click, click, sign a petition. You will not believe how much power is in that. And when we take that list, that powerful list, to the United Nations and to the United States, we get results. The United Nations has its first session on Friday, September 9th. We want President Akufo in these sessions. We want him to bring the truth. We want fact-finding missions in Ambazonia to bring the truth. The truth will set us all free. We must work together to make this happen. And we must do it rapidly because Friday is right here upon us. And we can make a difference. Yes, we can.
Okay, so you've mentioned together a couple of times. Obviously, together we can always do more. It's better when there's a mass group. It's more heard and more active than when it's just an individual. So you also talked about the petition. How is the petition coming so far, and when did it start?
It started a few weeks ago. It has just over 1,000 signatures. It is by far just the beginning. We need hundreds of millions of signatures on this petition. We want war to stop not only in Ambazonia, we want killings to stop under the guise of war everywhere. This petition will travel around the world, starting in India, where so much blatant murder is going on, and we are civilized people. So this petition speaks. It's our voice behind the signature that's saying no more. We will accept this no more. So that petition has just over 1,000, almost 1,100 signatures. And as I said, it's just beginning.
That's impressive.
And
What do you think Ambazonians individually, collectively, however do you think they could make more impact in regards stopping the killings? Ambazonians, what do you think they can do else, apart from signing the petition you talked about? What other move do you think individually they could carry out to stop these killings?
I know it sounds oversimplified, but voices united together is the most powerful thing we can do. Coming together, not sporadically here, over there, a little group there. No, united as a force that demands that this ends, that it ends now. We have no more time. Ambazonians are in danger, that in horrific danger. The enemy is increasingly angry. We have to do this now. We can't crawl around the petition. So what Ambazonians can do to save our lives, your lives, children's lives, is make sure everybody knows about that petition and that everybody signs it. Good people who care about people. This petition has to stay pure. It has to stay pure. And when I say pure, that means hearts, good hearts, people who care about people. AmbaZonia, what you can do more than anything is add your voice to the petition. And you will see magics begin to happen. Because then when we demand whatever we demand, the petitions work. A little research shows you that. Multi-millions of signatures on one petition is like a double-edged sword that slices away all the evil. We will get rid of all of this that's happening. The only reason it's happening is because they don't hear our voice. AmbaZonia can make sure the petition flows. There's no more to do right now.
Okay, so that's, like you said, it goes a long way. The petition, it's not really as simplified as it sounds. It's like an edged sword, like you said. So that's going to go a long way from what you've just said. Well, we still have a lot in stock, and we would like you to go through with some of the stories we have in tonight's Undaunted with us. If you wouldn't mind, just hang on there for a little bit. We'll be right back.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, AmbaZonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of AmbaZonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
It is shameful the colonial government of La Republic du Cameroon, through the Colonial Ministry of Commerce, is unable to protect consumers before entrepreneurs. The regulations of prices of goods and services is the sole responsibility of the state. This action, if it is not only geared towards the protection of home industry, it is an ideal action for the protection of her citizens. But with La Republic du Cameroon, producers have the latitude to determine how much their product will be sold. These exploitative price from producers at the detriment of consumers goes smoothly with the so-called state stakeholders remaining indifferent. Lately, the Colonial Minister of Commerce invited cement manufacturers to demonstrate his inability to regulate the price of a bag of cement. Instead of imposing on the manufacturers, he was rather begging on them to try and curb the prices of their product. How come a Minister of Commerce is unable to regulate the price of cement? Is it a proof of the uselessness of his ministry? Well, let's find out.
Well, the Colonial Minister of Commerce, Luc Magloy Mberga Tangana, on September 1st, 2022, invites cement producers to lower their prices. The communique signed precise that Mira SA has the best price tags as it sells cement type 42. The 5 is now sold in Douala at 4,800 francs CFA, the bag of 50 kilogram instead of 5,100 francs CFA. The consumer price of the same product is 5,100 in Yaoundé instead of 5,400 francs CFA, a drop of CFA 300 as well. This makes an overall drop of 400 francs CFA in this category of cement. As for type 32.5R cement, it costs 4,100 francs CFA in Douala instead of 4,600 francs CFA previously. The same cement costs of the consumer 4,400 francs CFA per bag in Yaoundé instead of 4,900 francs CFA previously. This means a wholesale reduction of 500 francs CFA in this category of cement. Consequently, the Colonial Minister of Commerce invites other actors in the same sector and in all sectors of mass consumption productions to be inspired by the fine example of economic patriotism in the name of resilience and sustainability. Producer Mira SA is lowering its prices while its competitors Simenkan, Dangote, CMAF are using the imported increase in production factors to justify the visible increase in their products on the market. Their 50-kilogram bag of cement is sometimes sold by some crook merchants at least 5,800 francs CFA in the market, with the Colonial Minister of Commerce being unable to do anything about it. Among the assets that allow Mira SA to keep the price of its product low, its managers invoke increased forward-looking management of raw material supplies, as well as significant input storage capacities. As a result, the company has not suffered as much from COVID-19 as its competitors, let alone from the current Russian-Ukrainian crisis.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Now, according to CNA of Undaunted on Facebook, a newborn baby was discovered on Friday, September 2nd, 2022 around the Mbengwi grandstand of Momo County. The baby was wrapped in a loin and plastic, then abandoned in a nearby bush. Cries from the bush alerted passers-by who called the attention of security forces. Gendarmes took the baby from the bush and to the district hospital. Well, let's see the video before we move on into some reactions on social media.
Mais elle a couché là, c'est moi j'étais. Arrête un peu, mon âme c'est là. Ça, c'est pas possible. On va avec. On va avec ça. Mais ça c'est un ministre. Mais c'est terrible. Mais c'est même un lâché. C'est un nouveau né, non? Un nouveau né. Donne dans moto. Mais cucut. Mais ah Seigneur. Mais cucut. Retourne la voiture là, ça repart. C'est pas possible.
What a sad video there. Now, our news director, Tarapadi King, after close observation of diverse reactions and comments on this report, had this to say. In his words, he says, I have taken out time to read carefully most of the comments, reaction, and I have this to say. Cognizant of the fact that this young meter girl probably hails from Bengui, where the main economic activity is cassava farming, shifting agriculture, meter, water fufu, tat market, bush market, that used to be the epic center of economic activity in the entire meter land and major source of cash flow, but it's no more because of the war. He says, I won't rush into conclusions and condemnation. He goes on to say, from my vintage point, number one, she could have killed the baby a few days into her womb if she didn't value its life. Number two, Mr. Tak continues to say, after 9 months of struggle, she could have thrown in a pit hole or toilet like some would do. He goes on to say, am I saying that giving up in perilous times is good? 1,000 times no. It's cowardice and probably ignorance. But even before you hasten to condemn me as well as my view of the situation, remember that at least 99% of every mother wants the best for her offspring. Also remember that Moses' mom made a difficult decision during extreme difficulty. I pray for the little baby and mom who is in agony as we all throw stones right now.
Looking at Tapadi's reaction, his perspective of the whole matter, you see there is more points of view to this coming from the 1,000 judgments on social media. But what could possibly make a mother carry a baby in the womb for 9 months only to leave the child in the bush after birth? What would have been the best option?
Oh well, it's no doubt that the whole war in the Cameroons has caused a great deal of unrest and economic devastation, leading people into abject poverty and the impoverishment where buying basic commodities becomes very tough to meet. This is not an excuse for this act, but considering the condition of the majority greatly affected by the war, this could have been the deliberations of this unknown lady before dumping the innocent child in the bush after 9 months. War destroys communities and families and often disrupts the development of the social and economic fabric of nations.
Speaking of war, in its effects, there is long-term physical and psychological harm both to children and adults, economic downslide amongst other devastating factors involved in war. Let's take Ukraine for instance. Not only has the war left a lot of Ukrainians displaced, but has also had a massive impact on the global supply chain, impeding the flow of goods, fueling dramatic cost increases and product shortages, and creating catastrophic food shortages around the world. War has never been good news and never will be. The more reason we wonder when La République du Cameroun will realize this and do the needful to end the war that is affecting both parties, taking innocent lives, dwindling the economy, and bringing absolute chaos to both states. I mean, why choose war over justice anyways?
My brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, fellow Ambazonians, this is Dr. Patience Abiodun, popularly known as Ma Patience. I come to you today, September 2nd, with a special Save the Date announcement. On behalf of the Department of Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, you are invited to a special celebration of September 22nd and October 1st. Both days, which will be celebrated on Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Please save the date. On September 22nd, 2017, 5 years ago, our people from all walks of life, children, men and women, old and young, came out with peace plans in all our villages, towns, cities, and counties, denouncing the occupation of our territory by La République du Cameroun. On October 1st, 2017, 5 years ago, our former president, Sisoko Ayub Tabe, announced the restoration of our independence. Both important days will be celebrated by the Department of Women's Services and all Ambazonians on September 25th of this year. We remember that on those 2 days, we lost a lot of our loved ones because of the vicious activity of La République du Cameroun's military. The Department of Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is inviting you all to join us via Zoom as we commemorate these 2 epic days in our history. The President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, President Samuel Ikome Sako, will be present. Thank you all, and I end by saying, long live the Federal Republic of Amazonia, short live the struggle.
Right, fellow Amazonians, of course we have Dr. Patience Abiodun in the studio for Department of Women's Services. She's here this evening to also enlighten us more about we just watched and so many other discussions, especially for the Southern Cameroonian women and the women journey to the UNGA. All right, you're welcome again to Undaunted. Dr. Patience Abiodun,
Thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much, Onye, and thank you so much, Onye, and thank you, Mr. for having me here. I salute you all. Special greetings to everyone at the home front watching, and I also extend greetings to everyone in the diaspora. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much too. Now let's hear more about this journey we are talking about, where for the UN General Assembly that will open from 13 September 2022. Let's hear more about this journey, please.
Incidentally, 61 years ago, in April of 1961, the 15th session of the United Nations Assembly met, and at that time, one of the topics on their docket was that was for the independence of the former British Southern Cameroons. So now we are in 2022. The 77th session is meeting on a few weeks from now. I think the first day of their meeting is the 13th of this month, and this meeting will last through the 7th of this month. Would be a great thing for the topic of Southern Cameroons to be on their agenda. Incidentally, before we met, I decided to look online to see if the agenda for that meeting has already been set up, and it has. And of course, we don't see the name Southern Cameroons or Ambazonia in it. However, there is a portion on the agenda which reads maintenance of international peace and security. And they have a few subtopics under that. Report of the Security Council, report of peace building commissions, prevention of armed conflict resolutions. So with these subtopics, one is hopeful that the subject of Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, will be discussed. It will be a travesty if this United Nations General Assembly holds and our topic, our plight, is not addressed. I saw Mama Aisha here earlier talking about ending mass killings, petitioning to go both to the United Nations and also to the United States of America. If we were to get the millions of signatures that she's asking, which is really an easy thing, it's just a click of the finger, we can get those many signatures, and the voices of the masses are heard by the United Nations. However, let's assume that we are not able to get those signatures by the time that the United Nations meet. We, by even pushing forth this petition, is the step in the right direction. Our matter, our problem, is a matter of the existence, the survival of a people. I saw the image of the baby in Bangui that was discarded in the bushes. And you ask, why would any mother do that? These are all activities in the backdrop of war. Maybe it's a mother who was raped by La Republique military. Maybe it's a mother who has no means of taking care of herself because she doesn't have a home, she doesn't have means of feeding herself. There are many reasons why something so disastrous should take place. Let's think back before 2017. How peaceful, relatively peaceful, not politically peaceful, but relatively peaceful, our people were living their lives. Things like abandoning a child or a newborn baby was unheard of. Today, we see that our children are being killed on a daily basis. Those sons that are defending ourselves are young men and also our young daughters who have lost their lives and continue to lose their lives because of a war that is no fault of ours. And we understand that the main objective behind this is because La Republique values the land we live in more than the people that habitate the land. If we don't stand and fight, especially now the United Nations General Assembly is meeting, if we don't put our voices out there for them to hear and stop this mass killing and stop this genocide, then we have ourselves to blame. We have ourselves to blame. In that resolution that happened, the 15th session in 1961, 64 countries voted for us to have our independence. 23 voted against us. And I went through the list. Do you realize that out of the 23 countries that are now members of the United Nations General Assembly, I think there are 193 countries that are members of the United Nations General Assembly. Out of those 23 who voted against us having our independence, 13 were French states or connected to France, 13 of them out of the 23. That tells you the power of France. Of course, French Cameroon voted against it and France voted against it. But overwhelming majority, 64 voted for us. So this United Nations meeting again today, or in a few days from now, is very powerful for us to push our agenda to them.
All right. Thank you so much, my patient. You made a statement there, my patient, that really struck me about the young lady. You know, you give a different view. I mean, she would have been raped and probably just had a very, very silly mind of probably taking out whatever pain the baby may have or would have caused. I mean, that's another angle that we could have looked into while reporting that story. Thank you so much for bringing the motherhood angle of that story for us. But my patients, I would want you to hold on, because for this UN story, I would want Mr. Tar to join you in analyzing it. But then I would want you to expatiate more on the communique, the video we just played out, and want you to talk more about it while Mr. Tar would join you later for the UN story. I want you to expatiate more on your communique.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Onye. So on September 25th of this year, we decided as a department to celebrate those two epic days. September 22nd, 2017, when women, children, old and young, from every walk of life, in all our villages, cities, towns, were bold enough to take peace plans, walking through our streets to denounce the occupation of our land by La République du Cameroon. That day, several innocent people were killed. That is the first time for a long time that we lost loved ones because of speaking, demanding our rights as a people. A week later, on the 1st of October, then former president, now Sisoko, announced the restoration of our independence. So you understand that in previous years, the word federation was a taboo in our communities. But in 2017, we were bold enough to take that big step and said enough is enough. We have the right to own the land. We own the land. Although we lost so many loved ones, may their souls rest in peace, we're forging ahead, and we want to remember them on the 25th of September in numerous ways. We will pay tribute to the dead. We will remember those mothers that have been bold enough to stand their ground and object to the colonial masters. We'll talk about the humanitarian efforts the department has done for the past several years. We'll appreciate the women that are in government, from the local government to local government to the federal government. We're talking about local government chairs, LGA chairs, county chairs that are women, cabinet members that are women. Our first Speaker of the House, Dr. Winnie, is a woman. Our chair of the ethics, Ma Dorothy, is a woman. We have women activists. The list goes on and on. We will appreciate these women because they are the backbone of the struggle.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Also, one more thing. One last thing, we'll also raise funds to help our embattled people, and those funds will be geared towards Christmas time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I was going to ask a question based on funds. You say, you said we're going to celebrate, do this and this, and I was coming to that very important part, because those that are mourning, those that feels that they are the less privileged, sometimes would always want something from their government and their leaders. All right, thank you so much, my patience. We'll definitely come back to you. Let's get back to the news and then we'll come back to you. Just hold on for us a little bit more.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Alright, of course, over the weekend was huge. The Coupe Monanguber drafted. It ended with a huge sum of over 35,000 US dollars. But before the draft, the President, His Excellency President Samuel Likomesaku, gave his speech. Before the draft for Coupe Monanguber, the President started off by saying that after 61 years of hate, La République du Cameroon has finally got the money to rebuild airports, seaports, and stadiums. Well, the President, Sako, says we don't really need them anymore. While also the president observed a moment of silence for those that have lost their lives for the course of this struggle. He ended up by saying that may they all continue to rest in power, and we here are saying amen. The President Sako told a story with a lesson to never destroy your own brother, no matter how much may be involved. He says, and I quote, "When you betray your friend, your other friends may cheer you up, but they will never trust you."
He says the interim government under his watch will not waste any time cutting any La Republic du Cameroon's agent because you cannot pair the monkey with a fish. Who talked about the belly politicians who have sold out people that enough is enough. He also called out amber chameleons whose only cry is that our fight is endangering the blood, the breadcrumbs from La Republic du Cameroon, or do I say blood crumbs? Now he refers to them as cake tactics. The President Sako thanked the ARFs of Coupe, Moine and Guba, asked them to stay alert and also reminded them that the interim government is here for them, asked the ARFs to always remember that they can trust their cause institution under the government. President Sako emphasized that Coupe, Moine and Guba is very strategic for training and coordination.
Dear sons and daughters of Coupe, Manenguba County, fellow Ambazonians, my dear people of Bangem, Nguti, and Tombe local government areas, you are a great and resourceful people who are suffering the effects of this senseless war declared on us by dictator Paul Biya. But what is peculiar about you, the great people of Coupe, Manenguba, is your steadfastness in believing in our leadership. Even when the fabrics of our institutions was shaken by the failed attempt by coup plotters at the beginning of this year, a diabolic act against the very hopes of our people, championed by some of your sons, a typical role in the defunct Restoration Council, who is still to graduate from the CPDM School of Corruption. You did not fall for his antics. His schemes to find fabricated evidences against Dr. Sako to justify his mission of using us to destroy our own struggle were short-circuited by your collective revolutionary IQ. So thank you. Today they are frantically calling everyone, including former enemies, to collaborate to secure some relevance. Those enemies know that if you rejected them when you had value, and you now suddenly want to join them after you have lost influence and value, you are just seeking relevance within their little space. Have you not learned what the cock told the hen? He said, "Never you help a snake to hatch his eggs, however beautiful and attractive the eggs may be." When you betray your best friends, their enemies may cheer you up, but they will not trust you. When a rich man dressed expensively falls in mud, he will cherish the tap water and rags of the poor used to wipe his mess. If you were the poor man, how much will you value your service to that rich man? It is your decision. Guess who is in charge then? You. The interim government under my watch as the principal custodian of our liberation endeavor will not waste our time cutting one Cameroon agents, mingling with sellouts and anti-revolutionaries as a matter of principle. If you call that refusal to collaborate, so be it. You cannot pair a monkey into business with a fish because the two cannot work together. Where will they hold their business meetings? In the sea or on the tree? Either way, if you force that partnership, one will die and the business will shut down. Let us collectively continue this fight together. It is our fight, not my fight. People of Coupe, Manenguba County, by now, you have discovered the caliber of people you almost entrusted our liberation movement to. Sometimes, says an African proverb, time is the second God. Time has vindicated my judgment and your judgment. let's do something special for Kupe Manenguba County. Your financial support will go a long way to enable the indefatigable county leadership to re-energize the kind of resistance that once made Kupe Manenguba County a death jungle for dictator Paul Biya's ill-trained genocidal beast cows. Our ARFs in Bangem, Tombel, and Guti are up to the task and will do the same if we put the necessary materials in their hands. Let the draft for Kupe Manenguba kick off now. Viva the great county of Kupe Manenguba. Viva our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces. Viva the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And God bless our beautiful country.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Preston, for always captivating us with your speech. Now, moving on from the court in Baltimore. Now, of course, you can imagine the thieves filed a motion asking the court to dismiss the case brought by Ambazonian Foundation and ABC Corporation on grounds of jurisdiction. And the judge said, gang, when it comes to financial fraud, and the laws are extremely tight. Just so you know, Coopers filed a writ for the ongoing litigation in Baltimore, but the case was rejected. What they surely ignored was the fact that they did not only commit a crime against the peoples of Amazonia by stealing more, meant to enhance home front and humanitarian activity, they also committed crime in the United States of America, which qualifies as a felony. The U.S. doesn't take financial and wire fraud lightly.
The Observer goes on to say, no room for thief people. Even now for outside hold, they must catch, bring them. Judge say you must all appear in this, my court, to explain your involvement in the actions and bring back the stolen foundation's money. If the court ascertains that wire fraud has indeed been committed, the Fed's FBI will take over the case. You know what that means, prison and only prison. Make Chris and Colomenta go catch Nachop and Marianta to bring our money back, or else Yawa go gas, some people go pay dearly. All the signers of the fake Ambazonian Restoration Foundation and those who frauded paperwork to steal our money, your clock is ticking. Hashtag Thieves United for Marianta versus Thieves United for Anas. Guzan Cryer. This was his post. Hashtag draft for your freedom. Ambazonia must be free. KA. This is what Guzan Cryer had to say.
All right, let's have Mr. Tar analyze this particular report first. Though it's a breaking news, but I'm sure that he would give us the detail of that report. Mr. Tar, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me? Yes, thank you very much for having me. I want to thank our correspondent in Los Angeles, Asia Storm, for opting to join the broadcast and news analysis for today. Thank you for your great work you're doing for your people, the peoples of Ambazonia. I'd also like to thank Dr. Patience. We'll be talking on the U.S. the UN General Assembly that it's coming up in a few minutes. But first, this is a very pertinent issue that it has been making the rounds on the social media. The case that has been filed in against coup plotters, you may want to call them that way, by Ambazonian Foundation and ABC Broadcasting Corporation for thievery, money laundering, and fraud in the United States of America. As you all know, it's ongoing. You can go to the website in the court in Baltimore to get it for yourself. We have seen on the social media, and we verified it to be true that those involved, those we call coup plotters, with their lawyers, fight in for the case to be dismissed by court. We also watch the Secretary of State for the National Treasury and the chairperson for Ambazonia Foundation on Friday evening giving to us some interesting details, and that's why we happen to talk now. I like the caption you guys got on Facebook to analyze now. The question, in my opinion, will be, why do they want the case to be withdrawn from court? It's a big question. It's quite complex, and I really do not understand the game their lawyer, which I would call a defense, is playing by advising them to file a request in court. What they're trying to say is that based on their an assessment, it is not credible enough to be processed by the court. But who are they to make that determination for a court in America? Issues that involve banks and involve thousands of US dollars swindled from an account. Well, from my interpretation, this only says one thing, and maybe they don't seem to realize that once you do that, you're telling the court you're not confident in your defense, and there is a high chance the crime most probably have been committed by you. But America, or the United States of America, is not a banana republic. It is a country of law, and such a quack request, you all know, has been rejected by the courts. It's unfortunate that you have the coup plotters themselves dividing themselves because of the monies they stole from the Amazonian National Treasury. It's quite remarkable. And you just mentioned KMC draft. How much the same group of people who raised the money the coup plotters stole are raising. You see, KMC is one of the counties that were greatly affected by these coup plotters. And it excites every Ambazonian to know that during a very short time, reconstruction and putting the institutions together, you can have the president enhance and inspire people to raise such an amount one night. It excites us because when you look at that amount, I think it should be the lowest since the draft started for counties, but it is still a lofty amount compared to whatever those calling themselves groups and those who want to call themselves or governments are raising. This, in my opinion, is a referendum, because a leader is not just one who calls himself a leader or gives himself a title. And yet one of them is trying to remove the title of a president in the group they have and to go with comrade. But when a person is not humble, he feels that if he changes his name, it's going to bring humility to him. You know, it's one of the reasons he's doing that is the misconception of humility, and also the fact that he is trying to appease those who sent him. We are aware that they only sent him to do such criminal acts. But now let's focus on the subject matter, which is the ongoing case. It's a number one victory based on my assessment that they would ask the court to withdraw. The court will reject, meaning that the court is interested in the matter and the court will access it. That's the first indication. I don't want to pass judgment or preempt judgment, but it shows that the court in Baltimore is interested in the matter, and whether you like it or not, they are going to process it. That is quite interesting. And they initially started sometime last year telling Ambazonians of the evidence that are in their possession. I would believe that this is a great opportunity for them to compile their evidence. The president made that request in November last year, but he was insulted. Compile your evidence and present it to the right body that is going to investigate. If you think that what the accusations that have been levied, or allegations, if I may say, are false, come with your defense. It's possible. This is a matter that I'm strongly convinced the FBI is already investigating. We know that they are networked around the world We understand from audios that are popping up that Nanchop in Germany has about 20,000 US dollars from money stolen from the national treasury in the private account. We also understand Marianta has about 40,000 US dollars. This is money that hard-earned money of Amazonians that have been put together to prosecute the war and to provide solution to our refugees scattered all around the globe. And individuals, for whatever reason sent by Yaoundé, have chosen to. So this case is quite instrumental and quite important, and it's something that every Amazonian should pray that it goes through. If there's any means for you to support it, support it. I believe the National Treasury will require your moral, why not your financial support, as well as your spiritual support to ensure that justice is restored in Amazonia. We are building a country of law. That's what I told one of the lawyers who thought that it shouldn't have been relevant. No, it is important that we have this case processed by the law so that we prove to the world, into the United States of America, that we're people of law and we're going to ensure justice. We cannot be seeking for justice and despising justice in the same token. That's a paradox. I think that we have to teach an example this time around so that other officials will understand from it and will not commit the same crime. Tabenyang, in the days of Sisiko Julius Ayik Tabe, wiped a lot of it, and a lot of these coup plotters, in fact, you heard the activists there calling them Thief United. I like the title given to them by War Child. Thief United, because thief, not thief. Thief in Amazonia is stronger than thief. So Thief United are individuals like a Gyawan, like a Bongwa, like Marianta, like Nanchop, like Chris Arno. All of them have swindled several thousands of dollars. Calculating it is more than $1 million US, and they are coming together. Now they are dividing themselves because of the crumbs that are left. It is quite instrumental. So I preferably want to give a shout out to the Seven Kata for boosting the energy of Amazonians. At least we now get a good feedback from Meza, and we hope all the different LGAs in Meza take advantage of this bravery from the Seven Katas to inflict sufficient pain on the forces of occupation. I want to congratulate the restoration forces in Fako. We have just received images coming in from Moyoka, where they have sent Ekema. I leave it at that. If you do not understand what it means to be sent to Ekema, then you leave it at that. But that is good. Congratulations. I'm congratulating particularly resource mobilization for doing a great job, ensuring that amidst the chaos, the inflation in the world, they have still presented themselves in a way that Amazonians trust them. Amazonians keep donating thousands and several thousands of dollars under this leadership of President Sako. And like I said, when I just started, this to me is the best vote you can ever get in the revolution. Who is able to sustain the revolution financially and morally? I say all the times that coup plotters went with noisemakers and stakeholders stayed with Dr. Sako. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ta. Just hold on a bit. We have this report from the UN General Assembly 2022. Just hold on a bit. When we return after delivering the report, we would need you as well as Dr. Patience Abielu to react in this regard. Just hold on a bit, Mr. Ta.
And I want.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
The 77 years have come and gone since the creation of this union of nations in a pursuit of peace. But from the vantage point of an Ambazonian, we are still wondering if it was a curse to some or a blessing. With just a few days to go until the opening of the 77th session of the UN General Assembly, the UN diplomatic community as well as residents of New York City are bracing for the annual arrival of heads of state and government from around the world after 2 years of disruption wrought by COVID-19. Many details are still to be confirmed. Nations all over the world are expectant. Ambazonian as a people expect better for the United Nations General Assembly. And while we try to grapple our heads into that room ahead of the rendezvous proper, here are 5 things to look out for before 12th and 27th September.
All right, first of all, let's look at a Hungarian president, how he takes the gavel. Now, a new season means a new president of the General Assembly. The current PGA, as the UN acronym goes, Abdullah Sahid of the Maldives, will bow out, and Kazba Korosi of Hungary will take on the mantle for the next 12 months. The handover will take place on Monday, 12th September. Mr. Sahid will close the 76th session of the GA in the morning, and the first plenary of the 77th session takes place. Number 2, Transforming Education Summit. Now, as usual, international attention as well as large numbers of pleas and complaints about traffic jams from New York residents will be centered around the high-level debate week, which begins on Tuesday, 20th September. However, the Transforming Education Summit, which takes place the week before at the UN headquarters on Friday 16th, Saturday 17th, and Monday 19th September, is billed as a major event by the organization.
Now, the third is the SDG moment, and this year's SDG movement, which will take place between 8:30 and 10 on Monday, 19th September, immediately before Leaders' Day, of the Transforming Education Summit, will be an opportunity to refocus attention on the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG, of the UN's 2030 Agenda, a blueprint for a fairer future for people and the planet. Speaking at the high-level political forum, a key annual development forum in July, Amina Mohamed, the Deputy Secretary General, said that transitions in renewable energy, food systems, and digital connectivity, along with investments in human capital, financing, and opportunities, are needed in order to turn multiple crises into opportunities. Ms. Mohammed said that this year's moment will be an opportunity to focus on these deep transitions and on the work needed to get us back on track. It will also be an important milestone on the way to the 2023 SDG Summit. Now, the fourth is the rights of minorities. On 18th December 1992, UN member states adopted the Declaration on the Rights of Persons Belonging to National or Ethnic, Religious and Linguistic Minorities, UN Declaration of Minority Rights for short. Described by the UN as a key instrument to address the political and civil, economic, social and cultural rights of a person belonging to minority, on Wednesday, 21st September, in the Trusteeship Council chamber, a high-level meeting will take place as part of the year-long commemoration of the 30th anniversary of the Declaration. Speaking in June, Paolo David, head of UN Human Rights, Indigenous People and Minorities Section, said that while the adoption of the Declaration brought hope 3 decades ago, this feeling was quickly lost due to the armed conflict in the former Yugoslavia. Mr. David noted that minorities continue to be instrumentalized in many conflicts, including Ukraine, Ethiopia, Myanmar, South Sudan, Syria, and Yemen.
The fifth one is a Global Goals Week. The general debate will overlap with the Global Goals Week, which, despite the name, is actually a 9-day program of virtual and in-person events taking place between 16th and 25th September, involving more than 170 partners across civil society, business, academia, and the UN system to accelerate actions on the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). There are too many events to list in full here, but they include NYC Climate Week, covering a wide range of climate-related challenges, the UN Private Sector Forum, run by UN Global Compact, which brings together businesses, the UN, and civil society to address global crisis, and launch of the 2002 Climate Action Project from the Take Action Global, which brings classrooms from over 140 countries together for a series of live interviews, school visits, and social media takeovers. All right. Now, we would want to know what Ambazonians should expect from this meeting. We have Mr. Tara here in the studio. We also have Dr. Patience Abiode in the studio. And later on, would be needing the thoughts of our correspondent from Los Angeles, Asia Storm, also to join this conversation. But first, let's start with Dr. Patience Abiode.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Onye. Your question was what Ambazonians should expect. Am I right?
Yes.
You know, I was looking back to something that happened in 2019. This was before the United Nations, not the General Assembly, the Security Council meeting, their 40th session. This was in February of 2019. And most of you must have seen a video by an expert of UNESCO, Dr. Emma. That video made the rounds in most of our fora when it was talking about colonialism in Southern Cameroons. And when I look at that and I thought about how somebody, an outsider, was so powerful, so honest, and discussed the topic of colonialism and the genocide in Southern Cameroons in a meeting that was a meeting before the United Nations Security Council met, and still our problem is still what it is today, I can only say I'm hopeful, because I don't know if there's anybody there, if we have any person that is not an Ambazonian speaking for us. Without anybody that is recognized, that people that in my Asia is doing her best now, hopefully they can listen to her. But we need people that will push our story to the forefront. I am hopeful that we may be surprised that this subject matter, Ambazonia, comes to light. You did mention a few things, but again, when I look at the agenda, there are many things on the agenda that relates to what is happening in Southern Cameroons, in terms of conflict and peace, in terms of disarmament, in terms of human rights abuse. Those are all that we are expecting. Does that mean that we as a people, Southern Cameroons, because probably they don't want to use the word Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons as a people, will that come up on the topic? We just have to wait and find out. I don't know what Mr. Paddy Tar thinks about that.
All right, Mr. Tar, let's get to hear from you, your take and expectations as well.
Thank you very much once again, Onye. Let's try to see if we can have Asia, because she, in her project, is working towards this direction and also working towards the White House. But then maybe just to add to what Dr. Peshan is doing, you realize that the women of Ambazonia are putting themselves together, because in spite of what I, as an individual, think it is international conspiracy, the women will continue to push. I just mentioned to you earlier on that Ambazonia knows what it takes to have their voices heard. Petition is an addition, but we are doing what we're supposed to do on the ground. So Cameroon, during the past weeks, you've seen outrightly the government, the colonial administration of La République du Cameroun, trying to impose normalcy You have the Prime Minister, which we are now going on air to claim normalcy in a place whereby he armies loyal to his government have raised down an entire family. They have destroyed an entire family in Bui. You reported the story on Saturday and you have reported it again today. But they want to talk about normalcy. We see a people that try to talk about normalcy, and within the past 10 days, Amazonian Restoration Forces have exploded at least 3 armored cars. But they want to talk about normalcy. They would use the DO and the SDO in Momo County, precisely in Menemo LGA, to dictate on the people. We've seen how at gunpoint they would take our people into Bon Market. But my mother was born in Jindom. So she's a lady from Menemo, LG, and Momo County. So I understand that villages. She is a girl that was using that village, that market, Tad Market, and the Bon Market. Those are the 2 major markets there. The Tad Market is the major people live from different counties and right from Douala to come and do business. And then the Bon Market is a daily market where the people have sustenance. So when you have a government that is attempting to, I really can't pick any corner, a government that is attempting to restrict a people from that, telling them that they should not do whatever they should not respect our civil disobedience. That's a peaceful protest that our people have willfully and joyfully dedicated themselves. We understood so quickly and responded proactively. They wanted the markets to resume. They tried in Bamenda, it has failed. They have done many things in Bamenda, it has failed. Even in what you want to call the southern zones or the Atlantics, it is not working. As the UN General Assembly is coming close, Ambazonia keeps on drafting. We saw images coming from Gokitunja with FM Sagon doing a great job, and it's happening every day. This Saturday that is coming, we are drafting Bui. If I tell you the images that are coming that we can't even broadcast all because Facebook is looking for a means. You see, Cameroon is working even with their PRs, politicizing this social media platform to restrict our reach. All of that is to tell the international community that they are able to contain the situation, to restrict. Now, they are doing it in 2 dimensions. Why France, as a major member of the Security Council, is pressing the buttons to make sure that our voices are not heard. On the ground, you have the Franco-Cameroon colonial forces trying to intimidate and to annihilate, to stop it. They are using colonial administrations to also achieve that. All of that is to stop this. So what should Amazonians expect come this? I would say Amazonians shouldn't expect much. We've seen in the report you have, they mention Yemen, they mention Syria, they mention Ukraine, they mention Ethiopia. They didn't mention Amazonia. But the carnage in Amazonia is more than what is happening in Ethiopia. We are following the stories in Ethiopia, we are reporting it. Why would you talk about the war or the tribal conflict in Ethiopia and you're not talking about a war that has been ongoing in Amazonia for 5 years? So what do we as Amazonians expect? I say don't expect much, but rather what should we as Amazonians do? On Saturday, before they kick off whatever they're kicking off at the UN General Assembly, come out and draft big for Bui. Come out and draft for late Insubu. Let us inflict pain on the colonial administration. In my opinion, I would think that more popcorns should be popped up so that we're going to have the headlines. They can do whatever thing, use their proxy medias, use the Mimi Force and the other bloggers in the diaspora to spine the reports. But we Undaunted will make sure that we broadcast it. And we as Ambazonians will be treating the Twitter warriors, in my opinion, should come out voraciously. We on ABC will be strife the the General Assembly sessions and having members of government come with different analyses. But as we do that during the comment sections, we will have the activists and bloggers and I'm talking about pro-independentists, those who are doing activists for Ambazonia, who post the videos on the UN website. Whether or not they like it, they can block it. We will post it, they will block it, we'll create accounts. In fact, we're going to do that aggressively. If they want listen, they will listen to us whether they like it or not. That's my opinion. It's about what we're going to do, not what we're going to expect. The conspiracy is clear. When you have Macron coming to Cameroon just a few days ago, and he's talking about decentralization, he's not ignorant of the fact that in the question of our freedom movement, that word decentralization with us inclusive is illegal. He's covered, but that is aggression. That is oppression. The forces of oppression do not consider people's legality and or historicity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tara. I really hope that we get to experience better than what we aren't wanting to expect. I'm sure that something better will definitely come up. But let's wait and see. All right. Let's see if Asia Storm has something to add to what Dr. Patience Abiedu had said and also what Mr. Tara had said. Welcome again, Asia Storm.
Yes, thank you. You know, one of the most strategic things we can ever do when we're fighting a battle is to examine what we've done before and do our best not to repeat steps that don't work. Doing the same thing, expecting different results is sometimes not the way to go. We need to know that we can get to the UN. We can take Dr. Sacco to the UN. We got to stop seeing this as something huge. It takes strategy. It takes things like we're African and we're African Americans. A drive that each person will get in touch with each person, an African person of original African descent and an African American. We need to activate coming together. We need to activate, we need to reach inside Black American community and draw camaraderie, draw friendship, draw love. We will not believe how this will work for us. It's so important that we realize this. The petition, if we run with that petition, even right now, it will slide us right through the cracks of the UN, and we will be there. We can get inside the UN and speak, and when the truth is heard, we know that the impact of truth. Truth has a ring to it. People hear it. They need to hear it. They are not hearing the truth right now. We want to bring the truth. We have days left, and we need to use those days strategically. I want to bring you back to the thought of the baby that was in the bush. And we're thinking about that mother. We got to learn how to not condemn, especially us. We can't condemn each other when we can't prove something like that. Why would we want to put such devastating thoughts about a mother who's in the bush in the first place having a baby? Where is the compassion and the empathy of that mother? How can we dare us? How can we dare look at her that way? Let's remember Exodus 2:3, when the mother said the baby grew, so there was nothing she could do to hide him anymore. So she had to put her baby on the water in hopes that her plan would work. We don't know if this is what this lady did, knowing that maybe she saw the good men coming, not the vile men who would throw her baby in palm oil, but the good men do what they did. You saw them how they took the rake and they were moving the things gently to get to the baby. It wouldn't have been that case with the other ones. We don't know what she went through to leave her baby there. We dare not do that. And that's what Ambazonians need to do. You need to not blame each other. You need to band together. You need to be strong. And you need to come with us. We were did like dogs. And they all tried to do it to us. We've just gotten too strong for them to do it anymore. Now we need to unite. That's it. Not reject this like somebody's playing a game. This is life and death. And we don't have any more time to waste or wait. It is time for us to move strategically. Strategically. Is there any other part of the question you wanted me to answer?
Just hold on. Just hold on a bit. Let me have Dr. Patience Abiedu also in the studio. I would want her to react because she has been here earlier and she's there speaking on the UN, this General Assembly. Welcome back, Dr. Patience. Now, Asia Storm thinks that we have to strategize, differently. And I'm just thinking, haven't we tried strategizing differently? If not, in what other way can we strategize? Or do you think that aside strategy, we can also employ some other measures to ensure that our voices are heard? And just like Mr. Tara mentioned earlier, the killings are more in Ambazonia than in Ethiopia. So what are they doing differently? Why are they heard? Why are they considered? Why not us?
Thank you for that question. Thank you, Ma Asia, for being so passionate about the baby in the bush. Yes, Ma Asia mentioned something that you cannot do the same thing over and over and expect different results, that we need to re-strategize.
Yes.
But your question to me, Ms. Onye, is that how do we re-strategize?
Yes.
This idea about petition, before I got involved in this struggle, I petitioned myself after the teachers and lawyers went on a strike. At that time, the president was Trump, and the goal was for him to do something to push African leaders to be responsible for what is happening in their own countries, so that people will not want to migrate to the States, because Trump was really an anti-immigrant. That petition didn't go far. There is something about us signing petitions. I'm not sure what it will take, because Mama Asia, the petition that she has for end mass killing, and then the petition also that was created by Team Ambazonia, a journey to the United Nations. Those are tools that do not cost money. If we had millions and millions of signatures, then the voice of the mass will be heard. So I don't know what we do differently. We come out from our comfort zone. Each person takes the responsibility that I will get so many people sign the petitions. Those of us that are Ambazonians watching ABC right now, that we know family members and friends, we have to take it upon ourselves as a personal commitment to make sure that we sign, we have our close friends and family signed, we have our colleagues from work, our members from our different churches, if we're students, our colleagues at school and universities. I mean, we have network. We have a huge network of people that we are connected to. So that is what we do differently. Because other than that, we need to continue to increase that firepower that Comrade Paddy Tar talked about, which comes about us drafting and doing something to defend our own land by doing what we can do on the ground. But petitions are inexpensive. Getting the masses to sign is an inexpensive tool that will go a long way. Comrade Padita already mentioned that we should not hold our breath. That why is it that they're talking about Ethiopia, talking about Ukraine, when we've been having a problem since 2017, and we've lost over 45,000 people. We know that France is behind pulling us to the side, and thereby other countries take priority. France is a strong member of the United Nations Security Council. It's a powerful nation. And if you go back to what I said about countries that voted against us getting our independence in a United Nations General Assembly 15th session in 1961, the majority of those countries were affiliated to France or had some sort of French connection. So all those things are really in our way. They are. You remember that picture? There was a cartoon where you have the United Nations knee on the neck of Ambazonia. It is really what is going on. They are putting their knee on our neck, just like they did to Floyd that passed away, the military. That's what they are doing. And so when they continue doing that, our voices will not be heard. We need to take that step and push these petitions that Mama Asia is talking about. We need to really take ownership of it. And that's the only way we get our voices heard.
What I'd like to add to that is it can't be just random signing a petition. This is a force of God-fearing people. You can't just throw the petition out there and ask people to sign it. That's anybody in there. You need a pure group of people. You need a group of people in the millions, because we're here. The media, the other media, not Amba TV, thank you. But the other media has brought the bad guy forward and made him look like he's the one who's running the world, and he's not. It's because good people with very selfish attitudes brought them forward. They are few. We come together as many, they are gone. We get the petition to the United Nations, they gotta see us.
All right.
We gotta understand the power of the petition. The petition is not just some little old thing that you do.
All right, Mama
The
Asia.
reason it didn't work with Trump, believe me, no matter how hard the heart is, it wasn't enough signatures. It wasn't enough signatures.
I can see that you're very passionate about this procedure or this strategy of the petition. Well, let's see. But let's find out from Dr. Abiedu. Now, ma'am, if this petition, let's say, if we have agreed, how long will it take the interim government to agree also and probably implement it? Is it going to go through deliberations, or do you think it's something that once you, as part of the interim government, places it on the table, is going to be accepted by other members of the cabinet? Do you think that this petition proposed by our correspondent, Mama Asia Storm, do you think that it will be easily accepted and probably adopted? If yes, how long would it take?
Okay, so the petitions that Mama Asia started, the one says end mass killing.
Okay.
If you have the number of signatures that will make an impact, she is looking for billions of signatures. I am even thinking about 1 million signature is a lot of signatures, but Mama Asia is going big, and I appreciate her for that. So if we get those many signatures, then she will take it. Mama Asia is the one who will take that petition to the White House to see President Biden, and President Biden will be forced to meet with President Sako. She is doing that for us, and we appreciate her. So it really has nothing to do with the cabinet per se. We hope that every cabinet member is signing also. It will be more of what is it that the president wants to tell President Biden? What is it that President Sako wants to tell President Biden? That may be a topic of discussion where the president may have with cabinet. But in terms of taking it there, we need those signatures.
All right, Mama Aisha, you were saying something. I just needed us to get that clarification from an SOS so that we can continue further.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
No, you were saying something, but I caught in short because I needed to get that clarification from Dr. Patience Abiodun. So you can go on with what you were explaining about this particular petition.
This part of it is planned to send Dr. Sacco to the United Nations, where he belongs. Right now, what we are doing is we are sending a packet because we couldn't get the petition out there the way the vision has it. The other little way just won't work. So we, I'm sorry, so much jumbling around in my head. We want to take this petition directly to the president to get Dr. Sacco in the UN into the sessions. Please ask me your question again, because I think I'm rambling a little bit. I need. What do you need to know from me right now?
No, that's fine. That's fine. You know, I thought you wanted to add more to hasten this process, and that was why I asked the question if it was going to take a longer process for the interim government, or if it needed their approval, so that when you were talking, you would probably put your words together. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I hear you now. This seems incredible, but because of God and His exponential numbers, in literally 90 days, we would have hundreds of millions of signatures by doing a warm market where we are going after the people warm, like you, who you would be going after is your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your uncles, your aunts, your colleagues, your dentists, who owe you, who know that this is life and death for you, that you want your people to be saved. If you're doing business with them, they got to care about you. And the way that you approach them about just signing a signature and clicking a show. Because these two things bring power. Power is in numbers. Anywhere you research it, it is proved that power is in numbers. In 90 days, we would have hundreds of millions of signatures, and nobody, nowhere can say no to hundreds of millions of signatures. That's how important these signatures are. And then when we get there, my dear, it goes off the chart, the good that we can do around the world. Because what they say, have gun will travel, have petition will travel. It will go to other areas to do many, many other goods. Because it's not just a petition that's aimed at saving and rescuing Ambazonia. And then look at it, what happens, what the petition leaves behind in Ambazonia. Grateful people who are in Jubilee, who are happy and thankful to be alive and well. And then we're sending through to them the help and the support that they need to restore their land. Can you imagine as we move forward with that very petition? Because it doesn't die in Ambazonia. It lives and travels.
All right. All right, thank you so much. Star, you have something to say?
No.
All right, my patients, thank you so much for being available today. I love the fact that you're always ready to answer all our questions with calm and with ease. Also, thank you so much, Ma Aisha Storm. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for analyzing all of this and for bringing up strategies that we could use. We sincerely appreciate. All right, thank you so much. But my patients, would you have your last words, please?
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to appreciate all of you on ABC. You're doing a fantastic job. And also remind our people that please make sure you save that date that we talked about, September 25th. Who knows? Maybe by that day, something would have happened in the United Nations that will make us excited. But even if it doesn't, we can also on that day send a message to the United Nations, because their session doesn't end till the 27th of September. So please come one. It's going to be 7:30 p.m. Amber time, and we will have a very, very interesting agenda for all of you. And I also want to say that let's keep on drafting because we need to make sure that the ground stays hot as we express it, because sometimes we have to do what we have to do, defending homeland. So thank you so much for having us. My pleasure. It was a pleasure being here with you today. And I know you're doing wonderful things for Ambazonia. God bless you. Thank you for being in our life in Ambazonia. You know, you're one of us. You're an African like us. So welcome back home, Mama Aisha. Again, thank you so much, Onye, and thank you, Star. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, and bye. All right, fellow Ambazonians, you've heard it from our mothers, and I'm sure that you keep a date with Dr. Patience Abiodun on the 25th of September. Now, let's get back to the news.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
We have this press release written in French from La République du Cameroun, but we will just transcribe it in English as it reads. The President of the Republic is authorizing a detachment of special forces to be sent to the northwest and southwest regions. I'm sure they would mean La République du Cameroun and Ambazonia. Well, these are forces which have been trained by France for the past 2 years. They are all stationed in Yaoundé. 200 have been sent to fight Boko Haram. 200 will be sent to the northwest region and 200 to the southwest region. If you heard correctly, the report says the troops are to fight Boko Haram, but an observer on ground saw that towards evening. In his remark, he saw La République du Cameroun's military as they went to the food market in Bamenda. While passing to their base at the airport, they stopped many cars and took all of their car documents and went with them. Are these cars Boko Haram? Is there some sort of data collection going on? Were residents in Bamenda informed ahead of this?
Well, these questions and more are begging for answers. Although it is said that they could be Russian military, but Kemi Ashu believes that all of these happenings has a rooted connection with France. In her report of yesterday, Kemi says, and I could read, she says, about 2 a.m. near Kurumen over Kingomen before Buluf in Kumbo local government area last Tuesday, 27th August, voices were heard and about 5 white men dressed in military fatigues were heavily armed and were seen patrolling the area with a radio and radar equipment. These French-Russian special forces have been in the northern and southern regions of Ambazonians long ago. They want to increase their numbers for buoy. France is clearly playing military games with Russia while pretending to support NATO.
General Buba Debakro can be rest assured this is his due. No Cameroonian general has ever won any war. Southern Cameroons will not be the first. Let this also become clear to the so-called United Nations under French control. Only truth will prevail and truth will wait here forever. This is how he ended.
All right, the Kumbo people need to be very careful, especially the routes that they follow while going out. Now, this is a very sad story. We have this landslide video from Kumba Kotsi Kemi Ashu.
Il y a glissement de terrain au niveau. Madame, comment faut-il? Comment faut-il? Come on.
Now, someday I believe that all of this suffering would definitely end. Someday we will get to Boya. Watching that video is a really sad one. Well, right after the break, we'll bring you the editorial.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
It always is a delight to bring to you articles from the Lord of the Realms, Don Juan Obi. And in our editorials of today, we bring to you yet another article from Don Juan Obi titled Collective Force of Hope, the Renaissance Politics. When a revolution has gone beyond the individual survival battles, a force of collective desire is born from common thinking, unifying resolve, and society's culture. When the force of collective purpose gains influence in society's priorities, a formless beast of passion takes control over the social organism. When the outpouring passion of politics overwhelms the vehicle of change, the destiny of events, even the day's glory. When the order of events in the day's glory set themselves to change a political reality, the heights of authority or weight of its lawful influence gets litigated by sunrise and sunset. When political authority spreads its oppressive influence to preserve power, the force of change in her most crushing weight is directed inwardly towards imperfection than the perfect effects of any outward consideration. When power seeks to triumph over the will of a people by remaking their dreams and reordering their choices, what appears at the bottom is constantly highlighted by mistakes, failures, and imperfection. When the will of a people is afforded collective consciousness or like-mindedness, and its feed with the apologies of a system, any sacrifice made rewards opportunities from complexion to identity. When a like-minded assembly is proposed on a cause with common feelings of